Hi everyone, welcome to Confidence Leads to Success with me, Elif Köse. I have got the honor to have this phenomenal woman, Megan Huber, with me. She's known as the Business Acceleration Mentor, and she's helping ambitious coaches and leaders grow their business to six and multiple six figures in 12 months or less, and she really does that, and I'm so honored to have her with me. I'd love to hear your story and your success journey and share it with us. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to dive into what I know is going to be a very juicy and valuable conversation.
I love that I've from a young age, you've always been the leader amongst your friends and peers, and that must be naturally within you. So, and sharing that skill, and helping other women to stop hustling, it's really inspiring.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot lately, actually. Just looking back at, okay, what have I been, even though I've been in business for 10 years, I think it's always very important to revisit and reevaluate what is my zone of genius? What have I always been really good at, even at a very young age? And I think sometimes we forget to go back and remind ourselves what started to kind of bubble up and surface for me when I was a kid, when I was in high school. And then I like to take a look at and just refresh myself and remind myself of the types of things that I've been a part of or the things that I've led. And leadership just kept showing up for me, and it kept showing up for me. And leadership was not how I originally started my first coaching business. It was just business. And I wasn't talking about leadership, or at least I didn't think that I was talking about leadership. And I've really changed my stance on that. So when I look back at being a child, now I will say this, I'm very introverted, believe it or not.
I
I
don't
am,
believe that.
I am very introverted. I would even say a bit socially awkward. We won't get into that. I am not the loudest person in the room. I am not the one who is going up to the stage, like grabbing the mic first to talk. I'm not the one who's volunteering first to like be the role player on the stage if I'm at an event. And sometimes we think that the loudest person in the room is the leader or the
Not
person who like,
necessarily,
and it's
no.
not. And I hear that a lot. And I wanted to share that because when people look at me, they are always shocked that I am an introvert and I have struggled much of my life in the category of confidence, which is exactly what all of this is about. And I think that's important to share because we all have a tendency to look at other people and think, but she's that way because, something came to her naturally, or it's her personality, or it's her, or whatever. That's just the way she is. And that's why she has what she has. And it's something that I have struggled with. But back to what you were saying, when I was reflecting back on my leadership at a young age, I was always the one in class when we were put in groups who would lead the group. I was always the one who, somebody has to be the leader. Somebody
Yeah.
has to take charge and say, who's going to play what role and what's the timeline to getting it done, and how are we going to decide when we've reached whatever levels of success that we're looking
Hmm.
for, and then what are we going to do next. I was always doing that. I was always doing that in
It just
school.
you naturally oversee everything and get the strategy to the result.
Yeah, yeah. I always
Amazing.
had the ability to be very, very structured. And a lot of people who are very creative or they're visionaries, they have a really hard time being
Hmm.
structured. And I've always believed that the more structured we are, that leads to more freedom. And you have more freedom to live your life more fully. You have more freedom to express yourself without being overwhelmed by this lack of structure and not really having a very clear vision. I always had a really clear vision. And then, I was in lots of other leadership positions. I've been a tennis coach. I was
Hmm.
always the leader on the tennis teams when I was playing. I was a teacher. I was leading all sorts of things in the school building and in the classroom. So leadership has always played a very significant role in my life. Now, I don't know that I would say it's all natural. I do believe a portion of it. I believe that my zone of genius and my gifts and my talents and my personality do lend itself to being a leader. Although I do believe leadership is something that really has to be practiced and cultivated, because there are a lot of nuances that come along with being a leader. Now, that being said, and this may be shocking to hear, I've always felt like I've really struggled with my leadership. I really have, which is so interesting, isn't it?
Very, yeah. And now you're facilitating growth and transformation to other, other entrepreneurs with your skills. How it would be, it would be, sometimes we don't realize our own skills, but how you are doing it so naturally and created like programs so people can actually have that level of success. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I'll also share this. I've worked with entrepreneurs, mostly women, for the last 10 years. And, a lot of times, and, we all basically experience the same things, just in different ways and different levels and different times.
Do you see any kind of pattern
with women?
With women?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there's a few. Where a lot of women default to in business when they're growing businesses is they get very stuck on, I just need help in generating leads. I just need help selling my program. I just need help filling my program. I just need somebody to tell me what to do. Just give me the structure. And that's what a lot of people come to me for. They come to me for the structure, the simplicity, a sustainable approach. But what I have found with women is that you can give them the systems, you can give them the structure, you can give them the step-by-step strategy, if you will, and it's only going to work to the degree that you've developed your leadership skills.
If you don't have the leadership to manage all those, it's just no point knowing all these systems and even all the templates and the conversation that you're supposed to have on a sales call. If you don't have the leadership,
doesn't work. It doesn't work. And leadership is a lot of things. Leadership is an energy. Leadership is a magnetism. Leadership is also being able to play multiple different roles and knowing when to transition from one role to the next. Leadership is also being able to observe and identify when the energy of your clients has shifted. And, where I really learned how to do this, because it's not all natural. Where I really learned how to do that was when I was a classroom teacher. When I was a classroom teacher, it was at the high school level, and I had freshmen all the way through seniors in the same class. I also had different levels of cognitive ability. I had different levels of socioeconomic in my classroom. I had all different personalities in my classroom. And I had people who wanted to be there and I had people who didn't want to be there. So when you're leading a classroom of young people, you have to get really, really good, really fast at being able to facilitate a diverse population. And every single class is very different. They each have their own personality. Every class was so different. And so all throughout the day, a teacher's job is actually a very challenging one, because as a teacher, and that's what we're also doing when we're coaching groups, when we're leading workshops, when we're leading retreats, many times we think we're just the teacher. You can't just be the teacher, because the teacher is just giving information. And so what happens is you have to really step into your power. You have to let go of your ego. You have to let go of your insecurities. You're asking about patterns. A lot of the patterns that come up, it's all of our insecurities. All of our insecurities come up. I'll tell you what one of mine has been my entire life. I've really had to work on, and that is fear of conflict and confrontation. And it's the fear of being able, if conflict and confrontation arises, then I must be doing something wrong. And then I have to manage people
blaming yourself.
Yes, then I have to manage that. But the way that a lot of us manage that from a place of insecurity is we just kind of lay down like a doormat, and then you just get run all over. And now you're in the trunk of the car instead of sitting in the driver's seat of the car. And when that happens, and that's called people pleasing. And when we're people pleasing as leaders, our clients are not transforming. They're not experiencing transformation at all. And when we're leading in that way, we're leading from a place of deep insecurity, not from recognizing that in the moment, being able to self-regulate and self-talk, and then move through that and step into the position of leader. And then you have the ability to facilitate the diverse energies, the diverse personalities. But there's also a way to set that up so that it doesn't happen in a way that's just going to like completely ruin your program. But that's all leadership. All of that is leadership.
It's just staying in your power and being able to oversee things and manage. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
And it takes practice. We can, obviously there are you can be taught some of that. You have to develop skills around that, but ultimately you want to experience and embody what that feels like. In fact, I've been doing this for a really long time. I mean, I was a teacher in my 20s. I've been leading groups and in-person retreats for the last 10 years. I just hosted a retreat with my mastermind clients in Mexico about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And everybody got in a day early because it was Mexico. And just the way the flights worked, everybody had to get a day early before the retreat actually started. I rented a house, so we were all in the same house. And that first day, before day one of the actual retreat, I wasn't leading the retreat. We were not in retreat mode. Everybody was kind of getting settled.
Yeah.
Some people had some work to do. But I remember that day. And I remember in my mind, my thoughts were so all over the place. And it were things like, I feel so inadequate. What are they going to think about me? What if I can't facilitate this really well? What if they came all the way to Mexico and they don't get results?
That sense of high responsibility, you made people to come and invest their time and money, and you just probably felt a bit overwhelmed.
And so I'm sharing that because even with all these years of experience, that's going to happen. It doesn't matter how skilled or talented you are, how many times you've done it, your insecurities are still going to arise.
Yeah, now, you're a human being. Naturally, they come.
They do.
How you self-regulate yourself, that shows your leadership.
Of self. So leadership begins with being able to lead yourself. Right. And it is being able to feel the feelings, watch those thoughts go by non-judgmentally. So you have to not judge yourself. And then whatever works for you. I do deep breaths. I do visualizations. So I will visualize myself in the first segment, or how I'm going to introduce or how I'm going to start the retreat. I'll visualize myself doing that so I can see it first. And then you really do have to move your ego off to the side and really believe in your ability to navigate and facilitate as the leader that you have the potential to be. So it happens to me still every retreat I run. And that was a recent experience.
Thank you for sharing that, because for someone who is really successful in their own field and you are, passionately helping multi-million-dollar businesses, but when you get to that kind of position and feeling this is why leadership is so important, ladies. You then self-regulate your own emotions and your own feelings with the way that works with you, like Megan shares, you have to take deep breath and visualize the first section of the event or whatever you are doing. It worked for you. So it's really, I feel so happy that you shared that, because so many people think that because you are there, you don't have any of those emotions. You're just like a robot.
No, you still have them. You still have them.
Wonderful. I'm sure it was a great event.
It was phenomenal. That was probably in the last 5 years, maybe the 16th or 17th retreat I've run. And it was phenomenal. They just keep getting better every single time because you get better at facilitating transformation. That's really what it's about. It's about facilitating.
This brings me to the next question. How do you help them? How could someone get into your community and become part of your tribe?
Yeah, the best place to go is my Facebook group. My Facebook group is called Tribe of Legends. It's totally free to be part of that. One of the easiest places to go to find that is my website. You can go to meganjohnsonhuber.com. And even at the top of the screen, I believe you can click a button and it'll take you straight to the Facebook group, but that's the best way. I also have a podcast. I release 2 episodes a week on my show. It's called Built to Last with Megan Huber. So that if you're a podcast listener and you want to dive into,
they're really good. I love them.
Yeah, I do solo episodes and I do an interview every single week. So you're getting to hear a lot of different women's stories. Those would be the best places to go to connect.
It is so good. I love that. It is very important. It's not easy, but you can create a business and start running it, but to being able to sustain a business and keep it at the same success level and grow it takes leadership again. And it's very important to be part of a tribe that would support you in that level.
Yeah. And here's what I'll say about, where people have to really transition into building a business that is sustainable, because you brought that up. And there's lots of different phases to growing a business. But if we were just going to look at a high level overview, the first phase that most people are starting with, especially if they are in a helping profession like coaching or, being an expert, working with people one-on-one, leading people in groups. Oftentimes you're starting the business and you are the talent, right? People are buying you and you're delivering all the services. And in order to make money, you're responsible for delivering all the services. Well, you're also responsible for building the business in marketing, in sales, operations, everything. Now, a lot of people get really stuck there. You can get yourself to a certain point. You can get yourself to, just depending on what you're charging, you could probably get to $500,000 a year, pretty much solo, but you're what I call being the business. You're being it, which means the way that I want everyone listening to think about that is you wouldn't be able to sell your company if you wanted to sell it. It would just fizzle out and it would completely disappear literally overnight because you're
no longer there.
Correct. So the way that you the transition, that second phase is you have to transition from being the business to running the business. And this is where a lot of women really fall off the wagon. They either hit a plateau or they stop and throw in the towel. I hear that a lot. Or they just start really resenting their entire business and they just keep changing it and changing it and changing it and repeating the same cycle. Shifting into running the business is a completely different skill set. Being the business and being the coach is a very different skill set than running the company. Now it's about leading your team. It's about leading your company in the CEO seat. It's about leading the vision. It's about leading the growth of the company. And you really have to step out of doing all the delivery. And you've got to learn how to run all the other departments of your company. And ultimately, how do I build the team to help me do that, even if it's a really small team? Mm-hmm. So what I'll invite everyone to do is just a simple mindset shift in whether you think you're ever going to sell your business or not. I'm not saying go sell your business, but what makes a company valuable? What makes a company valuable is your team and the system that you walk clients through that helps them get results. They shouldn't need you to get results. They should not need you. They should need your system. And maybe they could use some team members to help with them, but we can't be the sole magic of what's actually helping our clients get results. So there's different roles in leadership that we're playing. And when you get to, really running a business sustainably, you've got to shift into leading team and leading a real company, not just being the business, or else you'll burn out and get exhausted and you'll get very resentful. And a lot of people actually do just close the doors to their business because they can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, a lot of the entrepreneurs, small business owners especially, end up doing that mistake. And when they're not there, business doesn't exist. Right. When they decide to leave the business comes to an end. Mm-hmm. It's actually a shame.
Yeah, because that stream of income also stops. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people didn't have their finances in order so that they could walk away from the business and it not bring in any more money. So there's a lot of things to think about long-term, so that is the way that I'm running my business today or operating in my business, am I still going to be able to do this 5 years from now or 10 years from now? If the answer is no, then you want to go ahead and start making changes today.
I love that. Yeah. Wow. What pearls of wisdom, Megan. You are so generous.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
I love that. I really do. So do you have any retreats coming up soon that we should all know about?
Yeah, that's a great question. You're putting me on the spot. So most of my retreats are part of the mastermind program that I'm running. And so
Okay.
those retreats are part of that. However, funny that you ask, I adore running retreats. They are probably my most favorite thing to do because of what happens when people are in the room together. And you
The
can truly
energy.
facilitate like just transformation on another level when people are together. So I am going to plan at least one, possibly two retreats this calendar year in 2022, possibly one in the summer, certainly one around September, October. So come follow me and join my community. So you're one of the first to find out about that.
Amazing. I'm sure anyone who's listening us will want to follow you, and I will share all the contact details on our show notes so
Awesome.
they can come and connect and find you and be part of your retreats.
Yeah, that
I'd
would be
love to
great.
come.
Yeah, please do.
I'm coming to New York in September for my New York fashion show.
Oh,
Um,
great.
Mexico wouldn't be far to fly, I suppose.
It wouldn't. It
How
wouldn't.
many days they are?
Typically, I do 4 days.
Okay.
Hmm.
You never know, Megan.
Well, you're going to be the first one I invite. I'll have to schedule it around September when you're here. You'll have to come over to it.
I would love that. Oh,
Yeah,
all the way from the UK. Why not?
exactly. Amazing. Yeah.
I would love that. Wow. Thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing your wisdom. It's really amazing and you're so inspiring.
Oh, thank
And
you. Thanks for having me. I love sharing what I know and being really transparent and open and honest about the journey. We were talking before we press record
yeah,
that, people think it's so overnight and it's so easy.
no.
But nothing about growth is easy or overnight. It really is a growth journey. There's a lot of new skills to learn. It's also very, very exciting. It's very exciting to be on the journey of entrepreneurship.
I love it. Yes, you're so real, really candid conversation. That being able to have this conversation with women who are in their power, because a lot of the new starters think it just comes so easy, and when you get there, it is easy. It's still not. There is still some struggles that you go through. There is still some issues that you have to face, but that's when your leadership comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always new challenges, right? At every next door that you're opening. Yes, it's
Absolutely.
amazing. Yes, it's all about new possibilities. And with those new possibilities comes the unknown of new challenges you've never navigated before. I was actually on a call with a client earlier today, and she is in a position where she needs to make some financial cuts on her team. Doesn't mean she needs to get rid of team members, but she has to make CEO leadership decisions because she's got to kind of get back into good standing financially in her company before she grows it to the next level. And she's, thinks that she's done something wrong or that she's not a good leader. And I said, no, every single entrepreneur at some point runs into this situation many times, sometimes more than one time throughout your career being an entrepreneur. And these are CEO decisions that we have to make, and they're not always comfortable. And I said, I know that it feels really painful right now, but I said, secretly, I'm very excited for you because that's a conversation I have had with my team in the past where we literally had to cut everybody's hours in half. We had to cut it in half because things were not where they needed to be. We were way overspending on the business expense side. We had to cut about 16% of our expenses. And those are leadership. Like you really want to flex your leadership muscles and be a CEO. Those are the decisions you have to make. But that is where you grow into becoming a better leader because you've never experienced that before. And now it's something that is very scary. You've never done before. You will be a much better leader on the other side. You'll be a better business decision maker on the other side because there are certain decisions and lack of leadership that got us all to that place. So it's not fun, but those things that are a bit more painful that really invite transformation and growth, when you say yes to it, that's where you become the best leader. It's when you're navigating those things that don't feel so good.
Well, most growth happens where the breakdowns, because that's where you have your breakthroughs.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
incredible. Thank
Yeah.
you, Megan. I really enjoyed this. I could talk to you for hours, but I
I
know
know.
you're a busy woman, busy mom. You are just all round amazing woman.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to chat with you today and share with your audience.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope to see you on the next episode. Take care. Bye.